We begin this hour with news that has recently broken that famine has been confirmed in Gaza City for the first time, according to the United Nations-backed body responsible for monitoring food security. The IPC says more than 500,000 people in Gaza are facing starvation, destitution and death. It says that malnutrition threatens the lives of 132,000 children under 5 in Gaza until June next year. The body adds that the famine in Gaza is entirely man-made and that it can be halted and reversed. The IPC confirmed famine in the Gaza Governorate on the territory which includes Gaza City. It says that catastrophic conditions are projected to expand to Deir al-Balah and Khan Yunis by the end of September. But it has been unable to fully assess the situation in 2 other areas of the Strip. Israel has rejected the findings of the report, saying it's false and biased. The United Nations Emergency Relief Coordinator Tom Fletcher has reacted to the report. Speaking in Geneva, he said the famine must spur the world to more urgent action. Here's what he said.
Good morning, everyone. Please read the IPC report, cover to cover. Read it in sorrow and in anger. Not as words and numbers, but as names and lives. Be in no doubt that this is irrefutable testimony. It is a famine, the Gaza famine. It is a famine that we could have prevented if we had been allowed. Yet food stacks up at borders because of systematic obstruction by Israel. It is a famine within a few hundred meters of food in a fertile land. It is a famine that hits the most vulnerable first, each with a name, each with a story, that strips people of dignity before it strips them of life, that forces a parent to choose which child to feed, that forces people to risk their lives to seek food. It is a famine that we repeatedly warned of, but that the international media has not been allowed in to cover, to bear witness. It is a famine in 2025, a 21st century famine, watched over by drones and the most advanced military technology in history. It is a famine openly promoted by some Israeli leaders as a weapon of war. It is a famine on all of our watch. Everyone owns this. The Gaza famine is the world's famine. It is a famine that asks, but what did you do? A famine that will and must haunt us all. It is a predictable and a preventable famine. A famine caused by cruelty, justified by revenge, enabled by indifference, and sustained by complicity. It is a famine that must spur the world to more urgent action, that must shame the world to do better. It is a famine that therefore also asks, and what now will you do? My ask, my plea, my demand to Prime Minister Netanyahu and anyone who can reach him: enough. Ceasefire. Open the crossings, north and south, all of them. Let us get food and other supplies in, unimpeded, and at the massive scale required. End the retribution. It is too late for far too many, but not for everyone in Gaza. Enough. For humanity's sake, let us in.
Tom Fletcher. Well, as we mentioned, Israel has firmly rejected the findings of the IPC report. The military body in charge of aid, COGAT, posted on social media saying COGAT categorically rejects the Gaza report, including the claim of famine in the Gaza Strip and particularly in Gaza City. Previous reports and assessments by the IPC have repeatedly been proven inaccurate and do not reflect the reality on the ground. It goes on to call the IPC's evaluation one-sided, and it disregards the extensive humanitarian efforts undertaken in Gaza. Let's speak to our Gaza correspondent Rushdie Abu-Alouf, who's currently in Istanbul. And this is confirmation, Rushdie, of what many aid organisations have been saying for some time.
Yeah, it's significant. I mean, people in Gaza say it's too late because all signs of famine were there for a very long time. People have not been eating for days in Gaza. People were screaming, writing in social media. The very few people who have access to the internet in Gaza were writing day and night that we are starving. We don't have access to clean water. We don't have access to medicine. Over 300 people were died in hospitals, according to Hamas-run health ministry, from some sort of malnutrition size, and also from diseases related to this. So some of the people have sensitivity in eating, for example, gluten or wheat, and those people are the most people who are suffering now in Gaza. Not only food, but medicine, which is very, very important. If you have a diabetes in Gaza, you can't find a medicine for it in any of the pharmacies or the hospitals. People who suffer from blood pressure and other diseases are suffering in Gaza for a very, very long time. So the people in Gaza appreciating this significant new report by the UN body, and they believe that this should constitute more pressure on Israel and the international community to allow more food in Gaza. 100 trucks or so every day isn't enough. It's a drop in the ocean, according to the people. They need about 500 to 600 trucks, and this is the only time where 500 allowed is during a ceasefire back in January, when about 57 days of ceasefire, people were enjoying some sort of relief when we talk about food and medicine.
But Israel claims that this report is false and biased.
Well, Israel claimed that they have not killed any civilians in Gaza for a very long time. They are claiming that they are not committing any sort of crimes in Gaza, but Palestinians all the time insist that Israel is committing crimes in Gaza, and one of them is using starvation as a weapon of war. We have been hearing this from all Palestinians in Gaza and outside Gaza, and whoever is focusing in this, we're accusing Israel of using, food as a weapon of war. When people do not eat for 4 or 5 days, so this is for the people of Gaza is a crime. We have been talking to, I have personally spoke to people who didn't eat for 4 days. When children are dying in the hospital, this is Israel's something that Israel can't deny. While we have many people in Gaza filming from hospitals, filming hundreds of people queuing in to fill water that is not clean. People rejected Israeli, accusation.
Rushdie, for the moment, thank you very much. Rushdie Abu-Alouf. Well, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has reacted to the report from the IPC. In a statement, he said, "Just when it seems there are no words left to describe the living hell in Gaza, a new one has been added: famine." The UN chief goes on to say it's not a mystery, but rather a man-made disaster, a moral indictment, and a failure of humanity itself. Amjad Shawa is director of the Palestinian NGO network. He gave us his reaction to the report.
Thank you. I'm based in Gaza. I know well what's the meaning of this word and what's the critical implication of this on our bodies and our children, and what we are facing day by day, minute by minute, by this blockade and by these Israeli attacks and by their plans also to reoccupy Gaza and destroy Gaza and to enforce the Palestinians to be displaced. This kind of famine, it's unprecedented all over the world. It's handmade, it's human-made. It's not made by natural catastrophe. And Israel engineered this starvation from day one of this war. Through the intensive destruction of everything. About 90% of Gaza Strip destroyed. What have been left now, it's about 14% of Gaza Strip, where the people, about 2.2 million, are staying. It's very limited space, and day by day, it's under Israeli strikes with very, very limited amount of aid which is entering, and we could see our children who are starving to death, till death. And whilst the international community just criticize or raise some concerns, this is real time of this, after this announcement, for actions. Actions is needed to save the lives, more lives of these children, infants, and these pregnant women who are in very critical, dark conditions and could be died or killed by these air strikes or by starvation and thirst and diseases. It's collective. It's not that I cannot say this one who is okay and that one is infamous. All we are suffering them. There is very shortage amount on the supplies that we are suffering from, very limited amount. And Israel is calculating the calories of the entry. But now we have no milk for these children. This is a time in order to pressure for ceasefire, to stop this war, to enter all supplies, and we need specialized medical teams to get in Gaza to deal with tens of thousands of children who need medical treatment for the acute malnutrition that they are facing.
You mentioned the word thirst there as well, because access to clean water for drinking, for sanitation is also dire.
Yes, I confirm here that the share of each Palestinian in Gaza for water, for daily use or drink, it's less than 5 liters a day. And this is something that catastrophic, whilst we have these mountains of solid waste. Children are suffering from also so many diseases because of this, whilst our hospitals, most of it out of service, we have no medications, and the hospitals are overwhelmed by injured and in the same time patients. And we have very critical patient cases who need for mid-evacuation, about 15,000, and most of them children. We have cancer patients. We have these cases who we cannot deal with them on these conditions, and every day we are losing lives of these elders, women, all the people with disability. They are facing very critical moments these days, while Israel is just threatening the people in order to evacuate them, while they are bombarding and airstriking the different sites in Gaza. This is great failure of the international community in order to pressure the Israelis to stop the war, to stop the grave violation, their genocide on the Palestinian civilians.
Israel has, just briefly on this, Israel says in a statement, I'm just shorthanding it here, says that this evaluation is one-sided and it disregards the extensive humanitarian efforts undertaken in Gaza. Your response to their reaction, just briefly, please.
We use these Israeli claims. It's now we have this announcement by the UN because this came by facts, and Israel, the first to know the results of its attacks, of its grave violations, of its calculated entry of aid. It's also misleading the international community by this announcement that have what we are talking about facts, and I'm calling on the pressure to let in the international media to come to Gaza, to see, to witness, to talk with the people, to go to the hospitals, to the clinics. I'm based in Gaza City, and I know well what's the meaning of this, because we are facing these details day by day, minute by minute.
I'm Judge Shower from the Palestinian NGO Network.